there will be a lot of discovery taking place this year and well into the next. A discovery of what hybrid events actually are and how they can best be created. Trial and error will teach the industry what works and what doesn't work. So what is hybrid? Well, hybrid is when there's an online component to your event and there's an on-site component to your event. So speakers may be joining online or on-site, attendees may be joining online or on-site, but it also doesn't have to all be at the same time, right? There may be a before and after the on-site component where everybody's online and there's presentations and networking taking place, meetings being set up. And some of those meetings will be scheduled for the on-site part where not everybody, but a part of the audience will join. And I think the key here, the key that's going to be discovered is to really utilize the power of on-site events for those things that can basically only really come to life at an on-site event. And likewise for online events. For instance, content sharing, networking around presentations, that's something that very well takes place online. I think that's something we've really seen come to life because of the pandemic and all the virtual events. But there are many things that are very, very hard to replicate online. Things that evolve around the senses, the taste, the smell, the food, the things you discover outside of the scheduled program, around the social program, around the dinners, the networking that takes place, the experience really. These are things that, of course, they flourish on an on-site event. And it's to find those unique capabilities of both media that I think will be the key to unlocking the power of hybrid events. And we're going to see a lot of that next year. First of all, I think it's important to unpack what revenue opportunities are. Revenue is to be made when there is added value. And in order to add value, you need to understand your target audience. You need to understand what their objectives are and how they perceive value. And I think one thing the virtual events and the shakeup of the industry because of the pandemic has brought, at the very least, is that event planners now have to really go back to basics and think hard again about what actually is the perceived added value by their stakeholders, right? So their target audience, their speakers, their attendees, their sponsors. And it's great that that's no longer being taken for granted. You know, in order to create new revenue opportunities, you just got to have that straight. So that's the first part. But then there are many ways technology can help achieve that. First of all, there's the inclusivity. By inclusivity, I mean inclusivity of the target audience. Once you've really defined what your target audience is, you want to be able to reach them and bring those people together. And there's just a natural barrier of on-site events, of being able to do that, you know, regarding the budget and the time people have to invest in order to come to the event and, you know, be part of it. That just may be too much for some people. You'll be much more inclusive with the technology of hybrid events to get more people together. The people who are not going to be on site, they will still be able to join online, for instance. So you'll be more inclusive to your target audience. That's the first one. The second one is to help the audience to meet with the right people, right? And the right people, by that I mean the people who will help advance to meet their objectives, right? For instance, if you are an exhibitor, one of your objectives will be to get the right leads. Leads, people who will buy from you, perhaps now, ideally, or ideally, I guess, in the future, probably not too far ahead in the future. So to meet the right people will help advance everybody's objectives. And technology with matchmaking, AI capabilities definitely have that power. You'll be able to meet someone who otherwise may have been at the same event, but it may be at the other side of the venue, and you'd never have met. So that's the second, meeting the right people. And the third, say, category of why and how event tech can help add value and thereby increase the revenue is to increase engagement, right? It's to bring not just the people together, but also lower the barriers for them to engage, to start a conversation, to set up a meeting, to ask a question in a session, which can result into a conversation between the speaker and the participants. So these are three ways how tech can help increase the added value. And if you as organizer have really unlocked what your target audience is and how they perceive the value, then revenue opportunities are there for you to grasp. For virtual events, audience engagement actually is both the biggest challenge as well as the biggest opportunity, right? So biggest challenge because on a virtual event, you're joining on your laptop, on your computer, and your notifications, all your distractions are just a click away. It's so easy to catch up on your email. You're anonymous, you have your notifications popping in, and you can even just walk away and come back later. It's very easy to be distracted, and therefore, for you as an event planner, it's very hard to keep those people engaged. At the same time, it's also your biggest opportunity because technology has the capability of lowering the barriers to be engaged. It's pretty scary if you're in a room at an on-site event to stand up, raise your hand, and ask a question. It's much easier to do that through the chat, through Q&A, and therefore to be engaged is easier. So now, how do you actually increase the engagement then? Well, technology, of course, has a power to do that I just explained, but I think it starts with some non-tech, let's say, best practices. First of all, it's all about the event design. How do you create your event schedule so that it's more easy to be engaged? Well, first of all, don't schedule days-long programs. Only a few hours per day makes it so much easier for people to carve out that time out of their schedule, not check their emails because they know they can do that before and after, and just be present at your event. So already designing your event schedule to be a few hours per day will, I think, take you quite far. Then secondly, bite-sized presentations. So it's easy to be distracted, so you better have a sharp, bite-sized presentation of perhaps 10, 15 minutes that really that makes it really easy to stay present and focused. It also would make it easier for attendees to choose those presentations that they're really interested in and just follow those and not follow the others that they know are not going to be interested. So these are a few non-tech things you can do. Then technology, of course, comes into play when you have voting, Q&A, chat as features. I think features that you'll have in almost all virtual event platforms. So really use that tech to lower the barriers, as I said before, and increase engagement. And then the third tip I want to give is how to tie those things together, right? So you may have the tech, but if it's not being used, then it's for no good. So I think one of the things you want to do is to make it very explicit to your speakers, to your moderators, that engagement is an objective of your event. To make it an explicit goal and to help, advise, maybe coach your speakers and your moderators to have engaging sessions and engaging presentations. For instance, to say, well, you should at least have 2-3 questions, voting questions, in your presentation, maybe after 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the very end, to keep the audience with you and to get their input. Also, train them to assess the feedback you're getting on the voting and use it in the flow of the session. For instance, to drive the Q&A after a presentation. So, non-tech things, event schedule, bite-sized presentations, and of course, based on the tech, make it an explicit goal and work with your speakers and moderators to actually use that to create engaging presentations and sessions. Communities and events, they are very tightly connected. So first of all, events are communities. Right? Events bring together people of similar interests, having similar objectives at that event. Right? They may not be like-minded as in agreeing with each other, but they will be knowledgeable around the same subject, interested on the same subject, so that engaging conversations can arise. So that makes for a community. An event, by definition, I think, is a community. The other way around is also true. Events make communities thrive. So a community could be, for instance, a community of entrepreneurs. So I'm a member of a community of entrepreneurs. And it's great to be part of that community. But it's really events, when I have a chance to meet with other entrepreneurs, that for me add the most value in my whole community experience. It's the events that bring us together and that set a stage, quite literally, for us to learn new things, to share our own experiences, to connect with others and learn from their experiences and maybe help them with yours. So for me, communities and events are so tightly connected that they are both equally important to one another. Our platform is built for hybrid events. We've started many, many years ago building a platform for creating event apps. So our customers could create event apps, populate them, and use that for on-site events to make it easier for people to connect, discover the program, and engage with the speakers. And all of that is also available not just on the mobile app, but also in the browser. And it's really the combination of those two things that make it built for hybrid events. So from our platform, no matter if some of your speakers join online or on site, if some of your audience joins on site or online, and even your exhibitors and sponsors join online or on site, they all engage within the same community with a great interface that make it easy to discover and easy to connect with each other. So that's the first one. Secondly, we've built live streaming and real-time video straight into the platform so it can be used out of the box by our customers, by event planners, to create virtual rooms without the need to set it up, for instance, in Zoom and then copy-paste those links into your schedule. No, it's out of the platform. You just invite your speakers and your moderators. You run your sessions, and you immediately switch from live to on-demand content once those sessions are over. So that's very easy. And I think the third main thing that differentiates us from others in the industry is that we work very closely together with our customers. So we are not a faceless company. If you work with us, there's a customer success manager who will know you, who will get to know you, who will get to know your objectives, your event, and will help you set the platform up in a way that is most effective for your event. So our service, our customer success, our service is highly valued, and I think that's one of the main things that make us stand apart.